because of two main reasons. Is an English speaking country. So if you're coming from the UK, it makes obvious sense to have an English speaking country because you're doing your business, right? You're striking your company. You're also doing your residency, lifelong permanent residency, and you're doing your personal taxation. So not just the corporate, the company formation, but you're also doing the personal taxation. So for that, if the country speaks in English, it's a smooth transition from a place like UK or any other English speaking country to this country, 100% remote residency. The other angle of this, right? People from France and other parts of Europe, the second language is French. So it's English and French. So whether you come from the UK or you come from other countries that speak French, then this option purely makes sense. You don't have to sit and struggle in Dubai, because in Dubai it's heavily marketed. It's a glorified option. It's 0 to 9%. Is much better, 0 to 3%. And Dubai, the language barrier could be an issue. So if you're from Asia and if you have Asians helping you, South Asians helping you, then it's sustainable. But if you're only speaking English, you're doing business and you're paying taxes in a foreign jurisdiction, then the only thing that really makes sense is a place pay a lot and they sell you this permit. It's expensive to maintain, it's hard to sustain, and eventually a lot of people end up quitting on this, because when you're trying to strike a tax residency, it's not as simple as just getting the permit. You got to exit your home country tax system, and then you got to physically be a resident and prove physical residency in that location. Not a lot of people can stay in Dubai. People from Asia, they are settled in Dubai, they're used to the lifestyle, that's fine. But if you're striking a new tax residency, then in this video I'm going to discuss a 0 to 3% tax residency, which is far better than 0 to 9%. And the beauty of this is it has several options. Some options are premium, you can strike these remotely, and then there's certain options that are permanent residency. And yes, there's no physical presence needed in order to maintain this permanent residency. So yes, it's a paper residency.
Well, I'm flying back to Dallas.
And again, based on your tax objectives, if you're trying to strike a 0 to 3% corporate tax, then your corporation or your company can be located in Mauritius. And let's say you're trying to draw a salary. Instead of a salary, if you draw dividends, then that would be taxed at 0%. And in order to have a physical tax residency, an individual tax residency as an employee or as an owner that's getting dividends, you do obviously need to satisfy certain minimum physical presence. Eventually, this is 3 months in a year to maintain tax residency. So let's say you do your initial heavy lifting of exiting your home country tax system, and then you strike this tax residency, and then you maintain this tax residency by doing the 3 months a year physical presence. And the country that I'm talking about is Mauritius. Now, I had a separate interview with my head of legal for Mauritius, but I'm going to also have a separate interview with my CPA for Mauritius, who handles our team of tax experts in Mauritius. So you're going to get a lot more insights from that. And if you're subscribed to this channel, I promise you, you will be notified of any changes, any updates, any new programs. And there's a lot of direct citizenship options that I keep tracking and reporting on. Do me a favor, check your subscription status and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Now let's get back to Mauritius. What are the different categories first? I don't want to spend way too much time on discussing the different categories, because I've made a separate video with my head of legal who handles our clients in Mauritius. And if you have missed that video, you can go and watch this one. This talks about the different categories, but at a very high level, we're talking about a premium option, which you can strike 100% remotely. So yes, you don't physically have to set foot in Mauritius at all. We can remotely obtain this type for you. But let's say you're interested in something like a permanent residency, then there are multiple ways of striking the permanent residency. One of the most interesting ones, if you're trying to use this as a tax solution, is the GBC company formation. If you form a GBC, it's a type of a corporation that pays 0 to 3% taxation. So all your monies, all your income can be routed through this company. Your transactions, your trade, all of the activities can continue to happen outside. That is the beauty of a GBC. You're doing your things outside, but you're obviously running it through this GBC corporation in Mauritius, which is paying a 0 to 3% based on what you're trying to accomplish, based on the nature of your business, based on the volume of transactions. These things fluctuate. So once your company pays the 0 to 3%, then let's say you want to withdraw that cash, you want to earn income through that profit of the company, then as an owner, you can draw dividends, and dividends would be taxed at 0% if you're going to be a physical resident in Mauritius. So GBC Corporation is one option of getting the residency. The second option is through age. If you're over 50, then you directly qualify for a permanent residency in Mauritius, and no, there's no physical presence needed in order to maintain that residency. Again, as I said, if you're looking to establish a tax residency, then eventually you're looking at 3 months of physical presence in order to then strike that. But if you're simply looking for a backup option and you want to plan to strike this tax residency in future, then the best option is the age-based retiree permit in Mauritius. And there's also a property-based purchase. If you buy a property for certain value, then you have a place to stay. You can trigger the tax residency when needed. And in addition to that, you're going to get a lifelong, permanently renewable permit in Mauritius. So based on your needs, these things change, and we have our entire team established in Mauritius that does the residency, that does the GBC formation, that does the tax management. So you need a tax professional who's going to work with you year over year in order to not only structure this initially, but also to benefit from the tax advantages of this option. And who are really the target audiences? Who are the customers, right? Who are the people that strike this residency? Most of the people trying to go for this option are people from UK, Britishers. For them, Mauritius makes a lot of sense. People from Europe, different parts of Europe like Germany, France, they flock to Mauritius because of two main reasons. Mauritius is an English-speaking country. So if you're coming from the UK, it makes obvious sense to have an English-speaking country because you're doing your business, right? You're striking your company. You're also doing your residency, lifelong permanent residency, and you are doing your personal taxation. So not just the corporate, the company formation, but you're also doing the personal taxation. So for that, if the country speaks in English, it's a smooth transition from a place like UK or any other English speaking country to this country, 100% remote residency. The other angle of this, right? People from France and other parts of Europe, the second language is French. So it's English and French. So whether you come from the UK or you come from other countries that speak French, then this option purely makes sense. You don't have to sit and struggle in Dubai, because in Dubai it's heavily marketed. It's a glorified option. It's 0 to 9%. Mauritius is much better, 0 to 3%. And Dubai, the language barrier could be an issue. So if you're from Asia and if you have Asians helping you, South Asians helping you, then it's sustainable. But if you're only speaking English, you're doing business and you're paying taxes in a foreign jurisdiction, then the only thing that really makes sense is a place like Mauritius where everyone speaks English. The other major benefit of Mauritius is that when you're including family members, you can include children up to the age of 24. This is super unique. You don't have this in Dubai. When you're including family members in Dubai, if you're doing it through company formation, then you're looking at making them the directors of the company. But here in Mauritius, the beauty is that children up until the age of 24, you can grandfather them in this process. So that way they would be your accompanying family members paying the same level of taxes. Now let me spend some time explaining the physical residency in Mauritius. How do you strike tax residency and stuff like that? The first thing to bear in mind is that initially you got to exit your home country tax system. So you're looking at something like 6 months of physical presence outside your country. Let's say you dedicate this to Mauritius. Because of spending 6 months in Mauritius for the first time, you're killing two birds with one stone. which is you're exiting your home country tax wrap and you're switching over to a more favorable Mauritian tax system. So if you're drawing dividends, then you're looking at paying, as I said, the 0% taxes on those dividends from your corporation. And then once you have done the 6 months for the first time, you have switched over your tax residency to the Mauritian tax residency. Now, year over year, you would then spend 3 months per year in Mauritius to maintain the tax residency. That way you will get rid of your home country tax system completely in the first year, and then the second year onward, the first year and the second and the third, and so on and so forth, you can continue to maintain the 3 months per year of physical presence in order to continue to remain a tax resident. This is very similar to the Dubai option in that sense, in terms of the physical presence commitment. And let's say for whatever reason you're not interested in striking this as a tax residency, or you want to exit this as a tax residency, you will always retain your permit. There is no physical presence required to maintain this permit. So while these options last, it only makes sense to strike this residency and get grandfathered, because as these countries realize that others are benefiting too much from these options, they start closing down on options. So the best time to strike Mauritius and get it ready, keep it in your back pocket, so when the right time comes you can always make the switch or keep it as an insurance policy, is right now. If you're interested, you can always click the link, book a call, we can discuss which way to get this permanent residency makes most sense in your situation, in your family situation, and quickly get you started with this option. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and catch you in the next one.